I let my brother stay during his marriage crisis until my husband found blood, a chilling journal, and a violent plan that forced us to call the police. I, a female 46, had let my brother Jonas, aged 30, crash at my house due to problems with his wife Marie, a female 34. Now, this was awkward for me because I was friends with Marie before she began dating my brother, and it was kind of rough to see them fighting. I did not exactly know what the fight was about, as Jonas was skittish about revealing too much to me, but he just told me that it was getting exhausting and that he needed to stay at my place. I did not know much about what had happened. I even texted Marie about it, and all she said was that they needed space and that she will tell me more when she was feeling emotionally ready. Even though we were friends, I guess the fact that I was Jonas's sister made her a little cautious about revealing anything to me that would paint him in a bad light. Anyway, my husband Will and I welcomed Jonas into our home and said he was welcome to stay. For some backstory, Marie and Jonas started dating after meeting at one of my house parties, and they instantly hit it off. Both of them are super emotional, and that often means they are really expressive with each other, in good ways and bad. The good? Well, their wedding vows were some of the most beautiful and heartfelt I have ever heard, and they are still very affectionate with each other when things are going well. The bad? Yikes. Marie tends to make these dramatic Instagram stories on her private account about the woes of married life, or the struggles of getting men to understand things and stuff, which my brother finds quite disrespectful. However, they have been in a relationship for 4 years and have been married for 2. From the outside looking in, I did not realize that something was off, but as I found out, things were scarily off. First things first, from the moment Jonas started crashing at our place, he was just acting off. Sometimes he would be on his phone alone, but as soon as I walked in, he would close the screen. When he was in the guest bedroom, I could hear him speaking to someone in a muffled voice. Yet again, when I knocked, it would end abruptly. At dinner table conversations, whenever I tried to lightly ask about what was going on between Marie and him, he would never give a straight answer but would say something like, "Don't worry about it, sis, I am going to make things right." It was definitely not his usual self. Yesterday, Jonas came back from work and was visibly irritated. I asked him if he was cool and whether he wanted to order in for the night, and he just blew up at me. I do not know what I said to set him off, but he said, "Frick off, oopie. I cannot think about stupid shit right now. I am going up to my room, and I need some space. Just give me some space, yeah, thanks." And then he went up to his room and locked the door. I scoffed, and I had half a mind to go up there and shout at him for acting like a spoiled teenager, but he seemed genuinely distraught, so I thought I would talk to him during dinner time. Will came home too, and both of us were discussing how to talk to my brother and establish boundaries about his tone. Today, I went upstairs to invite him to dinner, but there was no response. We waited for about 2 hours, and I started getting worried. I trusted Jonas, but it was definitely weird to not get any response from him at all. We did have the keys to enter the guest room, so I asked Will to go upstairs and check in on him. After about 5 minutes, my husband came back with a paper-white face. "Don't go upstairs and call Marie and tell her to lock her door as soon as possible." I asked him what had happened, and he said, "I cannot say for sure. There is red stuff all over the room. I think it is blood, and your brother is missing. The bed sheets make a rope to go out of the window. I saw a journal open on the table, and he was talking about making that pig pay." I was terrified, to say the least. Without a second thought, I called the police and explained what had happened. Meanwhile, Will called Marie and told her the same thing while also telling her, "We are on our way." Running out onto the driveway, Jonas's car was missing. He must have taken it while we were inside and not paying attention. Will and I immediately went over to Marie's house and saw his car parked outside. On the walls of the house, there was blood, and the whole front porch had been trashed. I could see Jonas screaming up at the window as Marie and another man. What the frick was going on? Will tried to talk Jonas down, but he was behaving extremely aggressively, and my husband ended up tackling him to the ground. He broke down at that point and said that he did not care what happened next. The cops arrived after that and took Jonas away. Will went with them, and I stayed back to check in on Marie. The other man I had seen was nowhere in the house, and I put it to the back of my mind as a visual goof-up. All of that happened last night, and I cannot begin to tell you how wild it was. My mom called me and screamed about calling the police, saying, "Jonas is in a sensitive spot right now, and I do not know the full story." What else was I supposed to do? She keeps talking about how I ruined his life, and it is really getting to me. Should Will and I have gone alone and left the cops out of it? To be honest, I still have to figure out why my brother snapped like that. Maybe that will help me feel less guilty. Update 1. After the police questioned Jonas, We have gotten a lot more clarity about what had been going on. Marie had been cheating on Jonas for the past few months, and he had discovered this only recently. They fought terribly at home, and Marie threatened to call the police and lie about domestic abuse to scare Jonas out of the house. She was willing to lie and blackmail to make sure the true story did not get out. That is why neither my brother nor she told me much. The day Jonas came back to our house all pissed off was the day he had been served divorce papers, and apparently Marie had taunted him. Something in him had snapped, and the red stuff was apparently just pig's blood. In his own words, he wanted to mess with that pig of a wife that I had. I am so conflicted by all this. Marie is definitely in the wrong here, and it is clear she was caught red-handed and was willing to screw over my brother to escape with minimal damage to her reputation. I was not sure why Jonas was not willing to come to us, but I guess he was just scared that he would not be believed. At the end of the day, I still think, with the amount of information Will and I had at that moment, it was the right thing to do to call the cops. However, I do think it would be right for me to go to Jonas and check in with him since he is only being charged with vandalism. The family is thinking of posting bail for him and then helping him through his divorce. Update 2. Jonas is out, and I spoke to Marie and gave her a piece of my mind. She tried to deny everything at first and played on Jonas's actions that night as a sign that he was just making stuff up. The thing is, after he got out of the police station, Jonas was back to normal. That emotional outburst helped him see clearly, and he told us everything and provided proof for all of his claims. All those calls he was having in our house were actually with Marie, where she admitted to everything and he recorded it. The reason he became even more agitated that night was that Marie had had her affair partner over at the house the night he vandalized the house, so the mystery man I saw was there. His neighbors even confirmed the story on call. Once Marie knew that she could not bullshit her way out of this, she clammed up and cut the call. This divorce is not going to play out in her favor if I have anything to do with it. I have been very open about what Marie had done to our friend group, and it is already leading to a lot of people cutting her off. I also spoke to my mom and told her why I thought my actions were justified. She sees my point of view and says that she acted out of fear for her son at that moment. A police charge against Jonas would hurt his career quite badly. He works in a conservative accountancy firm. Will has been my rock through all of this, and I cannot be more grateful to have him with me. Let us see what happens now. This divorce is going to be messy, and even if I am on Jonas's side, it is clear that he needs some psychiatric help to deal with his emotions and prevent outbursts like the one that happened. It is not a healthy way to cope. Update 3. Marie has been cut off from everyone, not just me and Jonas, but almost all of her friends too. Her affair partner turned out to be one of her work colleagues, and he is pretty much the only person who talks to her now. The divorce is still ongoing, and Marie's lawyers are pretty much banging on the vandalism Jonas did to paint him as a terrible person. However, we are all helping him out with this, and he has been able to prove that wrong easily. For his own sake, my brother is also attending anger management sessions and group therapy sessions for those affected by cheating. In a few months, hopefully Marie will be out of our lives. For now, Jonas has moved into our guest room, but should hopefully be able to move back into his house soon. Nevertheless, he is hunting for apartments, although I have told him that I would prefer it if he stays with us. Even if he is in a better place now, I want him to know that the family is there for him. Haha, and he offered to pay to clean the guest bedroom. By the way, he had spilled the pig's blood trying to get it out of the window. I still think his actions were a little crazy, but the stories I am hearing from him about the gaslighting and emotional manipulation Marie put him through make it seem almost tame. We are on the path to recovery, and hopefully my brother comes out of this a better man. Changing to not the asshole after reading the updates. Your brother acted way out of line, but the context put things into perspective. Kudos to you for not ostracizing him after what was a breakdown. Nah, except Marie, of course. Your mom also had too much of a knee-jerk reaction, but you did the right thing at the moment. As for Jonas, I cannot do anything except feel bad for the poor guy. It just goes to show that you need to know the full story. Next story, I, 18 female, and the oldest of 3. I have a twin brother and another who is 16. I am going to call him Matt, his nickname. I have had my own apartment with my fiancé, say 18 male, since we graduated high school 1 year ago. My apartment is situated downtown, and there are a lot of buses since it is also next to my school and the high school. My twin brother lives with his best friend in another city, and Matt was living with my mother until today. My dad divorced my mom when my youngest brother was 3, and we would never talk to him again. Matt was always a bit of a delinquent and would always disrespect everything and everyone. My mom never did anything about it, but earlier today my mom caught him smoking and drinking in his room. She kicked him out because of it, and he only had the time to get a bag of essentials. He can go back to get all of his things later. Matt decided to come to my apartment by bus, and I let him in. I was wearing a sports bra top and a pair of basketball shorts. It is my favorite outfit, and I wear it a lot. After we talked for a bit, I decided to let him stay the night, and he told me we will talk more tomorrow since I needed to take care of my fiancé who got into a minor accident a couple of days ago. While I was walking to my room, he told me I should not wear such things because it made me look like an easy girl. I got really mad but decided not to say anything. I took care of my fiancé for a bit before going back into the living room and finding my brother eating and making a mess all over my couch while listening to his show really loud. I was getting even more annoyed and decided to tell him my terms in the moment instead of waiting. I told him if he wanted to stay, I cannot let him stay for free like that, and I do not get money since he dropped out of high school. I told him, I will give him a month to find a job, and he needs to sleep on the couch, and he can only bring his clothes since we do not have a place for the rest of his things and that in 1 year I want him gone. He told me I cannot kick him out or force him to do anything, especially when he needs to sleep on the couch like he said like a dirty dog. And then he called our mom, who is for stupid reasons on his side, and she started calling me a selfish bitch. I think I might be off for potentially kicking him out since he is my brother, but I am not his caretaker or legal guardian. I do not have time, energy, or money to deal with him. Update. First, I wanted to say that everything is all right now. As some suggested, I went no contact with my mom and my brother. Also, I wanted to thank everyone for their help, information, and wishes that I received after the original post. I went to work Friday, and my fiancé was still at our apartment. During my lunch break, I called my landlord to ask to put on cameras. He said yes, and I told my fiancé that he, the landlord, said yes. So he, my fiancé, installed cameras in the evening after I went to buy some. Saturday, my fiancé and I needed to leave because he had a doctor's appointment, so that meant my brother would be alone with my cat in the apartment. The camera was placed so that we could only see the pharmacy and nothing else. My brother was not aware of the cameras, and it is not illegal. We saw him take the pills in it, and he took the pregnancy test I was hiding. Nobody knew about it. When we got back, I told him he had a day to leave and for him and our mom to not contact me again, or I will call the police on him. Of course, he had to talk to our mom, and I got spammed with messages of her insulting me and other things I cannot say here, and my fiancé decided to call the police. I called my twin, and my boyfriend and I locked ourselves in our room, waiting for the police to arrive because I could not face my brother, and I was scared for us and what he could do. When they arrived, my fiancé went and explained everything to them. We showed them proof, the cameras, the texts, and I decided to put a restraining order on my mother because of the text she sent. My brother is now on the waiting list for a child center. I want no contact with them. When my brother arrived around 1.5 hours later, I explained everything to him and had a breakdown. I could hear my fiancé and brother talking in the living room after I went to my bedroom, and they were really mad, but I am thankful that they were ready to defend me so much, and how my fiancé interacted with the whole situation made me feel safe. Thank you everyone for the tips. Calling the police and going no contact really helped me calm my nerves. And for the one who sent me direct messages asking about my pregnancy, I am starting my 5th week, and when my fiancé learned it, he was really happy. This was written Monday. I took Sunday to relax, and today I had work. I needed time to process everything. Not the asshole. Your mom just kicked him out so she can get off that high horse and cease berating you for something she is responsible for and unwilling to be held to account. Your rules are reasonable, expectations of manners are reasonable, and if he will not comply, not housing him is also perfectly reasonable. Good luck. Next story. I, 25 female, have been in minimal contact with my family for the past 1.5 years. My dad was not in the picture growing up, so his side was never there, but my maternal grandparents, 72 female and 77 male, raised me from age 6. I was living with them up until I bought my house at 23 and cut most contact months. I was fully moved out. Last week, I decided to take my grandparents out to lunch at a nearby pizza place, since I will be out of the country for Thanksgiving and Christmas. One of the only times I would speak to them. We were talking about some changes I have made to my house when Grandma mentioned that when grandfather inevitably passes, they have it put in some sort of legal document that I will be in charge of her care if she is unable to care for herself. She said that I should not make plans to stay in my house for long as I will need space for her and my future kids. I am not planning on having kids. I asked her why they assumed that I would agree to her living with me when her children, 47, 45, 40, and 38, are perfectly capable of housing and caring for her. She said that they housed and took care of me for 17 years of my life, so me taking care of her for probably 10 should not be that bad of a trade. I told them that there is no way in fresh hell that I am taking that responsibility, and they started telling me that I am heartless and cruel to turn away a family member. I paid for lunch, told them that the only place she is going if I am in charge would be a retirement home, and left. I have since had my inbox graced with angry voicemails, emails, and a literal physical letter at my workplace from one of their kids calling me a bitch. I know I should be standing up for myself, but I might have overdone it in this circumstance. Am I the asshole? Edit 1. We do not have a good base relationship. I have a slightly better relationship with my grandfather, but even then, it is questionable at best. Also, to clear up some confusion in the comments, my mother was unable to raise me, which is why they took me. I will not go into further details on this. Edit 2. Do not direct message me asking if I have considered what would have happened if they would have refused to take me in. This is not going to change my mind on not wanting to take care of them. This is also not a comparable situation. Taking care of a child is not the same as taking care of an elderly adult. Edit 3. Automod flagged the original post, and I was informed that I had to cut out part of the post for it to be approved. If it seems like info is missing, that is why. No, you did not overdo it. Stand up to them. Her children were counting on you bearing the financial and logistical burden which rightly belongs on their shoulders. Groom. And if they keep up the pressure, tell your own parents that after all this pressure, you might feel uninclined to look after them in their old age. Let them stew over that a bit, not the asshole. As I drove home from that disastrous lunch at the pizza place, my hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. The anger was still simmering, a hot coil in my chest that made it hard to breathe. How dare they? How could my grandparents just drop that bomb on me like it was no big deal, like I'd been groomed my whole life to be their personal caretaker? I replayed Grandma's words in my head. We housed and took care of you for 17 years, so you taking care of me for probably 10 shouldn't be that bad of a trade. A trade? As if my childhood was some transactional debt I owed them forever. I felt violated, like they'd reduced my entire existence to a ledger of favors owed. The pizza sat like a rock in my stomach, churning with resentment. I'd paid for that meal out of some misguided sense of holiday goodwill, and now it felt like I'd funded my own ambush. By the time I pulled into my driveway, the anger had morphed into a deep, aching frustration. I love my house. It's my sanctuary, the first thing that's truly mine. I bought it at 23 after scraping together every penny from my job, no help from anyone. It's small, cozy, with a perfect little office where I work on my graphic design projects and a backyard that's just big enough for a garden I've been tending. The idea of uprooting my life to make space for Grandma, for her needs overriding mine, it made me furious, and the assumption about future kids, that stung extra hard. I've known for years I don't want children. It's a choice I've made thoughtfully for my own reasons, but they didn't even ask. They just projected their outdated expectations onto me, like my life is some extension of theirs to mold as they please. Frustration boiled over into tears as I unlocked my front door, slamming it behind me harder than necessary. Why me? Why not their actual children? Aunt Karen, Uncle Mike, Aunt Lisa, or Uncle Tom? They're all in their 40s, established with homes and families of their own. But no, it's easier to dump it on the granddaughter they raised, the one who's indebted. Guilt crept in then, uninvited and insidious, as I collapsed onto my couch with a glass of wine. Part of me wondered if I was being heartless, just like they accused. They did raise me from 6 years old. My mom couldn't, addiction, issues she never kicked, drifting in and out until she vanished for good. Without my grandparents, who knows where I'd have ended up? Foster care, the streets. They provided stability, meals on the table, school supplies, a roof over my head. Grandpa taught me to ride a bike. Grandma baked cookies for my birthdays. But those memories are tainted now, overshadowed by the control, the constant reminders of how much I owed them. We sacrificed for you, they'd say whenever I pushed back as a teen, wanting more freedom, more privacy. It wasn't unconditional love, it was a tally sheet. The guilt twisted like a knife. Am I ungrateful? Should I suck it up and agree out of some familial duty? But no, I reminded myself, shaking my head. Taking in a child isn't the same as caring for an elderly parent. Kids grow up and leave. Elders need round-the-clock care, medical decisions, emotional labor. I'm 25, building my career, traveling for work next month. I can't, no, I won't, derail my life for this. Sadness washed over me next, a heavy wave that left me staring at the ceiling, wine forgotten. Our relationship has always been strained. Grandpa's okay, gruff but fair, with a dry sense of humor that makes me smile on rare occasions. But Grandma? She's manipulative, always playing the victim card. Growing up, she'd pit me against her kids, complaining about how they never visit, while expecting me to be the perfect, obedient stand-in daughter. The minimal contact over the past year and a half was my choice, a boundary I set after realizing how toxic it was. Holidays were obligatory phone calls, visits were rare. Yet here I was, trying to do something nice by taking them out before my trip, and it backfired spectacularly. The sadness deepened as I thought about the family I never really had. No dad, absent mom, aunts and uncles who treat me like an afterthought. That physical letter at my workplace from Aunt Karen, calling me a bitch for not falling in line? It hurt, confirming what I've always suspected. I'm the disposable one, the easy target to bully into compliance. Tears streamed down my face. I felt so alone, like the black sheep who dared to say no. But amid the sadness, a spark of empowerment flickered to life. Standing up to them at lunch felt liberating, even if it was messy. "The only place you're going if I'm in charge is a retirement home," I'd said, my voice steady despite the pounding heart. It was harsh, yes, but necessary. For once, I didn't back down, didn't apologize for prioritizing myself. That moment shifted something inside me, a realization that I don't have to carry their burdens. I've built my life from scratch, a good job, a home, plans to travel Europe for work and pleasure. I'm proud of that independence. The empowerment grew as I scrolled through the angry voicemails and emails, deleting them one by one. Their words, heartless, cruel, bounced off me now, armor forged from years of quiet resentment. Let them stew, let their kids step up for once. If they keep harassing me, I'll block them all, change my number if needed. This isn't overdone, it's self-preservation. Relief followed, lightening the emotional load as I poured another glass of wine and paced the living room. Cutting contact further feels right, a weight lifted. No more obligatory lunches, no more guilt-tripping. My trip abroad for Thanksgiving and Christmas? It'll be peaceful, maybe even joyful, without the family drama hanging over it. I imagined wandering cobblestone streets, sipping coffee in cafes, free from expectations. Relief mingled with a quiet joy. My house is mine, my future is mine. No kids, no elderly dependents, just me, pursuing my passions. Yet, uncertainty lingered, a subtle undercurrent. What if Grandpa passes soon? Will the legal document force my hand? I need to consult a lawyer, understand my rights. The thought made me anxious but proactive, and deeper still, a twinge of compassion for Grandma, facing her twilight years alone in her mind, for Grandpa, who's always been the buffer. But compassion doesn't mean sacrifice. I can wish them well from afar, send cards or checks if I choose, without entangling my life. As night fell, I sat on my porch, watching stars emerge. The whirlwind of emotions, anger, frustration, guilt, sadness, empowerment, relief, uncertainty, left me drained but clearer-headed. This confrontation was a catalyst, forcing me to confront the dysfunctional dynamics I've tolerated too long. I'm not the villain, I'm just done being the martyr. Tomorrow, I'll book that lawyer appointment, fortify my boundaries. For now, I breathe deeply, grateful for the life I've carved out. It's mine, and no one's entitlement will take that away.